Well, it does take time to address issues. We've had 6 years of straight thefts that have gone up, and the crime statistics here in Madison County, if you look on the state reporting website, you'll find that every year for the past 6, and that's as far back as I went, has had an increase in thefts here in Madison County. We've had a little bit of time to address it, but we haven't done a very good job doing that. We do need to work with all the recyclers here in Madison County, specifically out on 29, and when they come in there, we can work with them. We can work together with them. There are some laws that are specifically applicable to recycling buyers, and those will help. It'll help, encourage folks to do right when they're buying them. We also, more importantly, need to put folks back out in the community, make sure they're talking to people, make sure that you're comfortable talking to the deputy that works your area. So when he sees the blue truck pulled up at your house at 2 in the afternoon, he knows it's not supposed to be there. So he's got a reason to get out and check on it. And that way we can actually intercept some of the thefts and try to eliminate some of them. We're not going to eliminate all of them, but we're going to make a dent in it. If you take the proper proactive steps, we'll make a difference. And if y'all can work with me, we'll do that. One. Guess we can't pass a failure to do right law, can we? I would say, we have laws now that pertain to metal thefts, drugs. We just need to work more closely with the prosecuting attorneys, with the judges, with the court system, probations and paroles to try to put some teeth into those and enforce the ones that we have, and then have them enforced by punishment on the back end. But if we were going to change any single law in the state of Georgia or convince somebody to change it, I think it would be the domestic violence law that allows what you call marital privilege. I think if somebody gets beat enough and they still don't want to prosecute, it shouldn't be in their hands anymore. It's our job to protect folks whether they want us to protect them or not. Sometimes that doesn't make people happy, but we need some cooperation from the state, we need some cooperation from the prosecutors, and we need to be able to do something about repeat domestic violators and repeat child molesters that currently we don't have. Sorry, I had to follow mine on that one. The domestic violence laws in Georgia are an issue, especially as you see if you read the blotter. But the main thing the officers need to do when they respond to a domestic violence situation is, first of all, see if they've been there before. Chances are pretty good they have. You want to make sure that you're professional and you're as nice as they'll let you be, and that you keep an eye on what's going on around each other, and then you need to find out actually what happened. This is 5, 10, 30 years of ongoing issues and problems that they keep battling through and having, and you got 10 or 15 minutes to sort it out and figure out who actually caused the problem. You can't just assume that the one that called was the one who was the victim. You got to ask questions, you got to look at evidence, you got to be aware of what's going on around you, and you got to make the right decision. There's a decision to be made, there'll be evidence there to support it. You just do the right thing, be safe about it, and be as professional as they'll let you be. Well, I intend to first look at the history of the calls here in Madison County and see where we need the most people. The zoning concept is a great concept. It puts people in the places where they're commonly needed the most. Unfortunately, that does leave them out of some of the places where you might not see them, like Harrison or Shiloh. But they still need to be there. We just need to put them where they are most likely to do the most good at the right time. We're not going to go around writing tag light violations just to generate revenue. But as many of you may already know, I've spent the last 11 years in the Uniform Traffic Division at the Athens County Police Department. Was a DUI enforcement officer for about 10 of those. DUI, reckless driving, those things are issues that affect everybody in the community at all times. We need to address those aggressively, and we'll do that. Reckless driving, DUIs, we're not going to ignore them. But we're not going to be trying to necessarily generate revenue either. But we are going to slow folks down, and we're going to put deputies out on the road where they'll have the tools and equipment like the lasers and or the radars, where they'll have the certifications to do it. We can use the instructors that we have here in North Georgia to get that training for free and locally. So we'll be able to actually actively and proactively enforce traffic laws and be more active in the community so that we're seen more as opposed to just being responsive like it appears we've been in the past. I want to keep my kids safe from sexual predators before they're already sexual predators. I think that begins with education, talking to them when they're young, talking to them when they're at home, talking to them when they're at school, talking with them when they're at church, making sure they understand that everybody that wants to talk to you is not your friend. Everybody that comes up to you is not trying to bring you candy and then walk along about their way. You need to make sure that you as parents and you as citizens talk to your kids, take some responsibility on yourself, and help teach your kids what they need to be aware of. The Sheriff's Department is just here to deal with people who commit crimes or potentially commit crimes. Once they've been convicted, we failed. We failed as parents and we failed as community folks. But once they've been convicted, we're not going to let it happen again. We're going to keep up with them. If they're going to do it again, then we're going to work with the DA. We're going to work with the prosecutors in every county or wherever we need to go. If they're going to be repeat offenders, then we're going to deal with them as aggressively and harshly as we possibly can. In my opinion, that would be the dredge of society. I don't know how everybody else feels about it, and if I've hurt the feelings, I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it, and we're going to address that. Complaints are going to happen. That's what happens. People sometimes don't agree with your decision-making process. When it comes to uses of force, it can be anything from your arrival on the scene in a uniform telling somebody to do something to judgmental use of deadly force, having to use your weapon or your car, whatever the case may be. The first thing that we're going to do if a situation like that arises is we're going to read the reports from the officer, and I'm going to go sit down and talk to that officer and find out exactly what happened. If there's a video or a recording, we're going to watch it. Then I'm going to sit down and talk with the complainer. And we're going to talk to them and get them to come in writing and explain what happened. And then if there's some discrepancies in what happened or some evidence one way or the other, then we'll react accordingly. If there's reprimands, terminations, indictments that will be handed down, then we'll do that. I prefer to think that as long as we use a decent hiring system and retention system here, then we won't have deputies making mistakes of the heart. You're going to always have people making mistakes of the head because they didn't know something or because they were lost their temper or because they just had never dealt with it before. But mistakes of the head we can deal with through training. We need as much training as we can get, and we need it locally so it doesn't cost us as much money. But mistakes of the heart, we're not going to deal with those. Those are going to be things that you're going to be terminated for. Those are going to be things that your reputation, your character has been done, it's finished, and we don't need that here in Madison County. If you're going to do something that you don't need to be doing, something that's illegal, immoral, or unethical, we're not going to have you here. You're going to have to go elsewhere. The citizens of Madison County deserve better, and the Madison County Sheriff's Department needs to have a culture that only expects the best, and that's it.